Hi guys, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and I am hiking today, and this is in the sky. Let's see if you can find the sun, if you can see it. There's like a ring around the sun. Isn't that freaking cool? The rainbow ring. Oh, that looks freaking cool. I had to show you. So this is where I am. Give you kind of an indication of how dense my forest is that I'm hiking in. So pretty out here. Love the forest. I cannot get enough of the forest here. And look at, you want to know why this is called a Zone 8 tropical forest? Well, it's called subtropical forest, but look at that view. Can you guys stand it? My freaking view. We have huckleberry bushes, but you can't see them now. So I was just going to take you down to the water and hike with me. Quite the incline. This is my path I'm trying to make my way down. And we'll talk about I might have to hike over a couple branches here. And the spider's hanging from my head. That's nice. Ah! Okay. Okay. Sorry. Ah! We're gonna get there, I promise you. Oh. Okay, so you guys don't know this, but I'm a huge moss nut. So look at this gorgeous log. And hanging moss is my absolute baby. A spider. This is the area I'm in. It's kind of pretty dense. Let's have old growth here. Crawl under this. We're getting there. And then we're going to talk about, see, how close do I want to get? Hopefully there's a good place to sit down. I'm wondering if this might be the, I don't know, maybe down by the water we can find something. Thought I'd take you on my hike with me today. Ooh, it's pretty wet down here. I love these little guys. Look at it. Yeah. So pretty. Oh yeah. You can get down there if we just climb here, but I'm wondering if it'll be too loud by the water. And I feel like you guys don't hear me very well when I'm right on the water, which is where I want to be. Trying to think, do I want to be down there? I feel like if I'm too close to the water, you guys can't hear me, so we might back up a little. And I'm a little hoarse because I'm still sick, but I'm still hiking. Because I'm cray-cray like that. So let me go back up here. I'm going to sit right here on this nice piece of mossy tree. It still gives you guys a good view of the raging river in the background. I feel like this is a good spot for you. I want you guys to get a little bit of a hiking experience with me. I'm really just awestruck over that ring around the sun up there. What is that? Can you see it? Kinda. Really freaking cool. I just like really looking at the sky through trees. Like, look at that view. I can't deal. These trees are gorgeous. Okay, let's sit down. I need to stop getting distracted by nature again. So what is this video about? This video is going to be about the full moon that's going to be happening in Scorpio. And that is going to be on the 29th of April. And the full moon that's going to be happening in Scorpio is going to be conjunct Jupiter in Scorpio, which is in retrograde right now. So when I felt that energy, I was like, holy shit. What expanded immediately in me was just this deeply uneasy, intense feeling of just apprehension maybe, and it made me uneasy, and I had a really difficult time processing that energy. And so what I needed to do was to kind of burn off all that intense energy work by being near the water and hiking in a forest and kind of touching the earth again and just grounding all my energy back to just, not something so energetically high, but something that calms me. And earth energy calms me. In fact, any people that have earth energy in them usually are very calming and nice for me to be around, especially when we're talking about the emotional intensity of this particular energy. So what I really want you guys to focus on is a spot picked me, I didn't pick it, and look at the force of this water. Sorry. Right? I'm shaking because I've been hiking and also because I drank a lot of coffee. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna maybe just rest that like that. Okay. So I thought a lot about this energy, and it was so overwhelming to me that I had to draw some tarot cards again. And when I feel intense energy like that, I need some visuals to help direct me, because the intense and overwhelming feeling of the energy makes me just want to run away from it and not face it. And that's just my Gemini rising. I know that's just my personal problem with my Gemini energy. And the way that I dealt with that was, I drew the cards, and the cards that came up were the King of Pentacles versus the Ace of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles was upright, but the Ace of Pentacles was in reverse. And I thought, oh my gosh, really? Like, that's really what I gotta talk about with you today? No wonder I felt the intensity of that energy. So the energy that was brought forth from that visual was immediately just the seduction of power, fame, and abundance. Just what people do to get it. And the temptation right now, especially since we're all in this, fear-based mentality. I wish I could, for some reason I'm so shaky that I can't, stabilize this the way that I wanted to if I was holding it. Let's see, what can I do to help stabilize this so you're not getting a shaky picture? That seems decent, I guess. And the one thing that I thought a lot about, just in those two cards, I really wanted to understand what the cards represented in this energy. And of course, we're talking about the polarity. We're talking about the polarity of Taurus energy versus Jupiter energy, but with Scorpio energy. But when we're talking about that, one of those energies has Jupiter expanding it, I feel like that energy dominates the Taurian energy. So the Scorpio energy definitely is why I was feeling the intensity. And the Taurus energy was definitely something that is competing with this energy. But it's a pretty powerful energy to compete with. That's where your you know, your fears and your desire, your deepest desires dwell, competing with this need for, you know, to take things slow and make sure it's a, you know, good step before you resume movement, or it's, you know, it's not about rushing away from something in a fearful state. It's about thinking it through and then making a move. Those two are kind of competing with each other. And so I thought about, on one side of it we have, you know, security, control, power, discipline, and the drive for abundance right now. That's that Taurian side, that just very level-headed side of us right now, competing with, some of us have fears about the opportunities that have been lost if we took too long. Some of us have, in an attempt to sustain financial security fast, usually spent too much and had excessive spending while they were trying to attain something as fast as they could. I felt like, you know, like people who are really intent on getting something right away, they commit too fast, and so they take on too much, and possibly commit to things that they haven't really thought through. Because now, mind you, this is all based on fear. It's based on the need to attain something, that because there's something that is emotionally making them feel insufficient or not valuable, or it's like there's a scarcity or lack in something, and so they want to fill that void as fast as possible. It's kind of what I felt like in this energy. I feel like for some of us, there was a failure to follow through, so we're pushing through things maybe a little bit too fast because we don't want to miss the opportunity. And because there's so much opportunity right now, and there is this feeling that you have the capability and resources to start making some changes, there is this feeling of, you know, you need that instant gratification. And we talked a lot about this, guys. We talked a lot about this foolhardy energy that can make you want to attain something right now. So you make the wrong move because it's made in fear and made in haste. And you don't have the patience to see if that is a actual proper investment, because it's foolhardy. You're thinking of it filling the needs for right now, not the needs for a long-term what am I trying to say? You want everything that you're investing in to pay off in the long run, and that takes a certain amount of level-headed self-control, confidence, to be able to resist those urges to react in fear. You have to have a great deal of self-control. And if you ever have saw the King of Pentacles card, he's a very majestic, in control figure, and he represents just the earth, and he represented sitting on a throne with holding a simple pentacle, but his life was very abundant in its simplistic form, and he had worked really hard and endured a lot to sustain a bountiful harvest, and he's sitting there and life is really abundant. But that was because he really had the self-control to manifest things over a period of time. Okay? So feel like I had some serious warnings to talk to you guys about. They were clear as a bell, and I really want to talk about them with you. And again, I'm still sick. Sorry if I'm nasally. And I have to keep clearing my throat because I'm still not all together well. So one of the things that is, just beware of taking on too much right now and being overly ambitious. Don't commit to too much. I know that you are making positive changes and that you are filled with inspiration right now, but don't be foolhardy. We have a lot of outer planets still in retrograde, and you want to be very mindful of taking your time, because Saturn represents time. Outer planets all represent the things that stand the test of time. You know, that ability to be patient and, you know, to react with the wisdom of the situation. I think you need to beware of those that promise financial independence and security that are in fact have some sort of corrupt underlying desire. So if you're impatient and you are easily led right now, you can be consumed by people who don't have your best intentions in mind. They don't care about you. They're using you. And especially since we have Venus in Gemini, which is in a quincunx with Saturn in Capricorn and a square with Neptune in Pisces, there is a lot of smooth talkers out there willing to capitalize on your naivety, on your overly ambitious desires and wants right now for instant gratification. Be careful. Be very careful to watch for what is between the lines. You know, a Venus in Gemini, there is a duality to their purpose sometimes when they have intent. And so, and I'm not saying that if people have Venus in Gemini, they're all dogs, but I'm just saying to be mindful that it does represent twins and twin energy, duality and energy. Just maybe not always what you see is what you get. You got to be very mindful of what is underneath the surface that you can't see. And if you're too impetuous, if you're too caught up in fear, and if you need instant gratification, and if you're pushing too hard, you're gonna miss the signs that are in this full moon. This full moon is all about the mask that people wear, the deceptive qualities of people, the fearful states that people live in and represent. And Jupiter's expanding all of that right now. So for some people, this is a great time for them to capitalize on your biggest fears, your insecurities, your vulnerability, your weakened, vulnerable state with your ego. They're willing to tell you anything you need to hear in order to make you feel secure and invest in whatever endeavor they've got going on. So just be very mindful that the devil is in the details right now. And if you're too impatient, if you are in a hurry to have things, then you can easily succumb to their bullshit. And that's just the bottom line. Don't allow yourself to do the dirty work for those that want to preserve their image. Be mindful of instant gratification, meaning don't compromise any of your integrity, any of your any way of your morals, your ethics, your integrity. Don't allow them to compromise that for money, for some sort of promise of money, or some sort of promise that if you invest in them, that yeah, we have to do some dirty work right now to get what we want, but promise me the payoff is great. You know, like, don't listen to any of that shit right now. Please, 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 please. This is a very dangerous full moon. And I say that it's dangerous is because it's fear-based. And I'm not saying the whole full moon is bad for all people, but for those living in a fearful state, for those with any kind of vulnerability, it is very easy for people of power and control and people with a lot of money and people with fame and for people that promise abundance or whatever, it's really easy for all of those types of people to prey on people in weakened states, and they do. And that is how they get you to do their damn dirty work. So just be mindful. Also, because you're so sensitive, because Venus and Gemini on this full moon is in a square with Neptune and Pisces, beware of the people that promise you yet again they're going to take away your pain and suffering by some sort of, you know, pill or some sort of vitamin mixture. They want you to pay up front for these so-called miracle cures and or these programs where if you just attend their program that you'll immediately let go of all your pain and suffering because you'll come out of there so aware and so awake. Be careful of people who are preying on the fact that you are suffering and in pain. Be careful of where you're spending your money on them. Like, why should it cost a lot of money for you to have to be okay and feel safe and feel secure and feel loved? If you're having to like invest in anything and it's a large dollar amount right up front, I wouldn't, especially with planets in retrograde, especially when you've got Venus in a square and a quincunx with Saturn and Neptune, especially when you have this full moon conjunct Jupiter and Scorpio, which is going to be in retrograde. Just be very, very mindful and live in a state of wisdom. I would get some advice of somebody who's made exceptionally good financial decisions, who has your best interest at heart, who isn't asking you to fork out money to get their advice. Like, it's just a person that's really, truly, deeply, with all of their heart in it for all of the right reasons, which is to keep you safe and secure. Be mindful of who you are turning to in these weakened, fearful states. They may try to seduce you into believing that they've suddenly changed, is one of the things I see. If you have an ex-lover, an ex-partner that has some sort of history with being a dualistic person, meaning, you know, they say one thing but they act a different way, but suddenly they've changed. Suddenly they've seen the light. They've been doing a lot of reflection and all of a sudden they're changed and you're the one and they know it. And they just want to get together with you, and be mindful of the devil being in the details of that. I feel like if they have a repetitive pattern that stood the test of time, karmically you've been shown that those karmic, those partners that basically are just a karmic lesson. They are nothing more, but it can be very deep. It can be very difficult to resist them with this type of seduction in the air. So like, we've got a lot of Scorpio in the air, and that is a lot of, I was gonna say sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but it's just that whole, like, you know, them using sex to get you back on track and get you seduced into their web of lies and ill intent and self-gratifying you know, intentions. Just be mindful that you are not falling for the same old crap with people, okay? They may be beautiful, they may be sexy, they may be the most sexually, you may feel the most sexually charged when you're around them, but be mindful of their of the cost that you have to pay to be with them. And nobody has learned everything they need to know right now. We're all just identifying the areas that we need to change. We haven't even begun to really fully change them. We're making changes, and we are in the process of doing that. But we are so far away from the actual we're so far away from where this energy is taking us and what it is teaching us. We're not there yet. We're just identifying the areas right now. So if they're coming in and saying, oh, they've changed and everything is different, and, you know, like, oh my gosh, you know, like, you showed me the way and I love you so much, and, you know, you're the only partner I've ever felt this way about. Like, all that bullshit that people tell you when they've made big mistakes, broke your heart, took your money. Don't allow that crap back in your life. You've ended these cycles. Stay strong. This is a really big test of your endurance, your faith. Stay strong, stay focused, and don't let them, you know, knock you off the rails, okay? There's another area of our lives that we have to be super careful of during this full moon, and that is regressing right now. In a weakened state, it is very seductive right now to fall backwards into old habits, old mindsets, old repetitive things that give you immediate self-gratification. I keep warning you about it, but I feel it so strong with this moon. I feel like the difference between a King of Pentacles and an Ace of Pentacles in reverse is an Ace of Pentacles in reverse is somebody who could have had a brand fresh new start. They could have had that, the opportunity was right at their fingertips to become abundant, but for whatever reason, it slipped through their fingers. Whereas the King of Pentacles is somebody who has worked really hard and been very diligent, had a lot of self-control. It's somebody who followed through on making all of his decisions, no matter how hard it was, no matter how much work it took to attain that goal. Those are the differences between those two. One lost their way and one didn't. The duality, Venus and Gemini, the duality of a situation. Now, Venus represents money, and Scorpio represents money that is shared between partners, or it's through investing with somebody. It's through a shared resource, you know. So you have to be very mindful of these tricksters right now that really want to seduce you with the promises of financial security, the promises of power, the promises of abundance. And they could appear to have all those things. They could have a really good facade going on. Their mask could be really hard to see through. But if you're patient, and over a long period of time, nobody can keep up a facade for very long. So be mindful of that when you're making these investments with people. I know that your egos some of you are in a very vulnerable state. There is an intensely wounded feeling I get sometimes from this energy, because Chiron just went into Aries and we just came out of Pisces, and we just got all this. We've been a lot's been unmasked in our lives, and there's been, sorry, I got an itch really quick here. Oh, I've been just like resisting that. It's been killing me here. I feel like there's been a great deal of struggle to identify what's truth and what's not the truth, and what was our accountability in the parts of our lives where we may have felt deceived, and how like we could feel very stupid, and we could feel very disillusioned by people, and the trust levels could be questionable right now, who you can trust, who you can't trust. And I feel like those are all very real feelings to have, and I understand all of them. We're gonna get through this. We're at the beginning. This is the beginning of our journey together in this new world, in this new mindset, with our new sense of self. How awake and aware we are right now. We've never been here before. And I apologize. I've been so sick that I think we need to give ourselves a break, and I feel like that's why all these outer planets are in retrograde. It's to give us a break and help us learn and be very real with ourselves about what we need to do to become financially secure and financially safe, and to be the best versions of ourselves. So give yourself a break and take your time. Do not fall for anything that has the seduction of instant gratification right now. Okay, guys? Just do me that favor. Somewhere in the back of your head, before you look before you leap. That's all I'm saying. And be very, very mindful and patient. And do your research and really look for the devil being in the details. I mean, be very skeptical right now. Not paranoid, but skeptical. And make intelligent choices that you've thought through, and don't let people seduce you into believing that they've just suddenly changed and that everything is going to be better. Because we want to believe that right now, because it's easier, it's safer, right? It's faster if we can just believe that. Anyhow, my lovelies. I'm all done with this reading. I'm ready to stop it. I can't handle this energy. I hate it. I am making so many big financial decisions right now, and I'm skeptical of all of them. And what I'm doing, and maybe some of you are doing, is I'm so scared of financial decisions that I'm oversaturating myself with information, and I'm making myself paranoid. So that is probably something that some of you could be feeling, is just that fear-based feeling of you don't want to make any decisions. That's Gemini energy. You don't want to make any decisions about finances because you don't trust yourself at all. You don't trust anybody. You don't trust yourself. And so I'm taking it really slow. I'm still putting myself out there, and I'm still making commitments to things that scare me. But I'm also being very, very mindful to read every last detail of every last line on a contract. I'm researching out the investments that I'm taking. I'm looking the backstory. I'm Googling everything. Like, I guess that's a way that you can comfort yourself right now during this time of like turmoil. Makes me just want to run, Forrest, run. But that's all my Gemini rising. And that's what that's what Geminis do when they get scared. They just freaking run. They just go the other way. They don't like that intense feeling. And I just am feeling that way. Okay, guys, I will leave you with a little bit of the river, just because we need to calm down after that. That sucked butt to do that reading. I'm so sorry. Remember that I love you, okay? I really do. This is all because I care. All right. I'll try to believe that. Oh, you know what we can do? Turn this up. Here now. Yes. I forgot. I wanted to get you guys close to the river. I had to be far away from it. It's like freaking Jurassic Park in here. Walk a little bit here. And I'm a freak about this. Isn't that the freaking coolest? I just love looking at those ferns on the freaking on my finger. Okay guys, I will talk to you soon. I hope you could hear me. Bye.